This week we're going to be doing some really fun projects, mocking up items on the boat that are getting into the details where we're forced to think hard about how we want to use the boat comfortably and safely. I love mocking stuff up because where I can draw them and do iterative design, mocking them up allows me to interact with them physically. And it also allows me to get your input on how you think it would work, how you think I could make it better. So I welcome your input on how these things turn out. Also, we're going to do something we've never done before on this channel, which is auction off an original piece of Duracell hardware to raise funds for our project. My name is Matt. Follow along as I turn Duracell, the legendary ocean racing sailboat, into a comfortable cruising home. One of the upcoming really fun projects that's going to happen is installing the steering system. Edson is actually going to build us a steering system, and the pedestals have already been chosen. We're going to use this dual helm system. This week I'm going to mock up the pedestals so that we can figure out how big a steering wheels we can fit in the cockpit. But first we're going to show you something really cool. And we got a ton of originals with the boat, and including the original helm. This helm has been around the world twice when Mike Plant sailed in the BOC and the Vendée Globe. The previous owner, John, did a ton of sailing with it, crossed the Pacific a couple times. It still feels great. Now, I'm not going to use this in the future steering system. I'm going for a more modern look, and this is a little bit more classical, and it's also an older system. I don't think these pedestals are made anymore, and it'd be tough for me to match them up. Plus the wheel is too big. So I took this down to the garage and I cleaned it up a little bit. What we've decided to do is we're going to sell this pedestal and wheel. Again, this was the original helm that Mike Plant used on Duracell, so it's been around the world a couple times. We have a bunch of expensive projects coming up, and we're going to be selling stuff like this to raise money for things like new wheels and a very expensive project like the keel that's coming up this summer. So we're going to put this on eBay for anybody that is interested in having a piece of sailing history, or if they want to put it on your own boat for, if you need a new helm. So this still works very well. It feels really smooth turning it. The wheel is 42 inches in diameter. It's a Whitlock brand pedestal. It's a sprocket style steering system, so there's a sprocket inside the pedestal that drives a chain and a cable. This would work just fine if somebody wanted to install this on their own boat. It's still got plenty of life in it. Again, we're going to be putting this on eBay. I have dropped a link below the video in the description box to the eBay page, and all of the specifications for the wheel and the pedestal will be on that eBay page. So before we go any further, let's discuss the pros and cons of having a single helm versus dual helms, especially for our boat. There are pros and cons to having one helm on each side versus a single helm. Twin helms are more comfortable when trying to steer the boat from as far outboard as possible, whereas single helm, the wheel would have to be very, very large to get more outboard. This is especially important when trying to dock the boat. Having the space between the helms is much easier to walk through the cockpit, whereas single helm will especially block the pathway through the cockpit. And there is redundancy. In case one helm is lost, we can still use the other. But a twin helm system is more complex to build and maintain than one helm, and of course it is more expensive to build two helms than one. So I just mocked up the first draft of the pedestals and steering wheels, so let's go see how it looks. This is the first draft, and obviously these wheels are too big.
Can we give them a test drive anyway, you and Alder? Alder, puff on. Matt, we're entering the trade winds.
Well done. These wheels are dominating the cockpit. I think one thing is a problem with them is that they're solid, and so the real wheels will be spoked like a, bicycle wheel. They're too close together. They make the pedestals come too far inboard. So making them smaller will push the pedestals outboard. I'm trying to get these wheels as far outboard as possible, and it will create a lot of space between them. I'm going to cut these down by about a 4-inch diameter, less than these current ones, and we'll see how it looks. These fit about 1,000 times better. The wheels themselves are 4 inches in diameter smaller than the old ones, so it's 900 millimeter versus 800 millimeter. These are the 800 millimeter ones. And you can see how much more space there is to walk between them. That's the big advantage, and I can get them very far outboard. When I'm standing up on the side deck to dock the boat, for instance, they're a lot easier to hold on to, and it allows me to sit nice and outboard so that we get to have good visibility down the side deck. The pedestals are exactly the dimensions of the pedestals that we're going to get. Overall, this should be very accurate to what the steering system should look like. Another one I want to mock up, and I haven't actually decided if I want to do this yet or not, is a cockpit bimini. So it would cover most of the cockpit so that people standing at the helm or on the benches would be protected from rain or sun. But another big reason I want to do it is for the solar area, the extra real estate to put solar panels. It would be a hard bimini made of fiberglass, but I'm going to mock it up just to see how it looks. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do this or not.
Should we do that thing that all the cool kids do, where you snap your fingers and then it's done? You probably do it wrong. Let's try. Do you want to snap or do you want me to snap? Oh, so like you put your thumb up here and then you snap.
Well, wherever both my fingers and the bimini would be in the frame.
Yeah, let's try that. We're clearly not the cool kids.
All right, now this is pretty interesting. It's an 8x8 bimini, like just a big square. The goal would be to make it the same arc as the doghouse roof is. It covers the helms really nicely. There will be like a 5 or 6 inch overlap from the forward edge of this to the trailing edge of the doghouse so that, rain wouldn't get in here. It's hanging on the forward end and it's got this post on the aft end. What I would do is probably do posts at the aft corners, like carbon tubes that go up to the corners, and then a couple more tubes at the corners from the doghouse to the bimini. It's huge. It's a lot of area. We would have to make it very sturdy such that, the wind doesn't get underneath it and rip it off the boat. We had something similar on our last boat and it worked fantastic. It was great for catching water. That one was actually made of canvas. And the reason I don't want to do this out of canvas is so that I can put a big solar array on it. And so I don't have to replace it every 10 years. One issue is when you're standing here in the middle of the cockpit, you don't have a great view of the mainsail. The mainsail is not above us here. The mainsail, the boom ends at the traveler, which is right here. So your view of the mainsail wouldn't be terrible if you stood forward up like this and took a look up, but I guess I could put a window in the top of this, but that's one thing to consider. Standing at the helm, you still have a good view forward. Sitting outboard like this, you'd have a really good view of the mainsail. Having this protection from the sun and the rain, plus the extra solar real estate, like I said, is pretty valuable. So we're gonna sit on it, see what you guys think. Like I said, we'd build it out of Edura panels, so a couple of 1/2-inch pieces of Edura panels. It would be very light, less than 100 pounds. The solar array would be the heaviest part of the whole thing. But otherwise, we could make it very, very sturdy and nice. We could even make it removable if we needed to. So let me know what you think in the comments. I'm very open to feedback on this one. It's been something I've been thinking about for a long time. But the hardest part about it is I can't see the boat since the boat's in this boat shed, I can't see the boat from the side from a distance to see how it looks. I can only look at drawings and do my best to visualize it. So Yanni's on the ladder as far away from the boat as she can get, so you can kind of see like what it looks like from the side.
I actually think it looks pretty good. Have you checked it out from the ladder? You should. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a start. I mean, I think there's potential. Right now I'm sitting in the salon area just forward of the galley. The head is right here. This is like a nice little cozy settee area where we plan to watch movies on the wall or sit and have coffee, read a book. So the next thing I want to mock up is a table that's going to go right here. One idea I've had is that maybe the table could fold down so that it could fill this area and make kind of like a day bed kind of thing. But let's mock up the table and see how it looks.
You're not amused by my snapping, are you?
It is just a small, almost like coffee table. It's kind of high, but don't forget we're gonna have big fat cushions here. This is more like a couch setting than a dining setting. I'll probably still be able to lower it a little bit. The whole thing will be adjustable so that we can drop it down to make like a day bed, like I said before. It's just a spot where we can sit, watch movies, have coffee, and put our drink down on the table. Another mock-up that I've been considering for a long time, thinking about this for a long time, that I'd like to try is installing a table here between the benches. This is a pretty wide walkway, and making it any smaller though is tough. We don't want it to be difficult to pass through here. And so, but this is a great space to set up for a table to, host folks or just have as our regular dining area. And so we're going to mock it up just to see how it feels, if there's something we could do to make it, more livable. Yeah, I'm excited to see how it turns out. It was a weak snap. Here's my table I've mocked up. This is great for being able to eat dinner up here in the doghouse. You'll notice that it takes up the entire walking space, so nobody would be able to walk through when it's all put together like this. But this can be broken down into 3 pieces. So this bigger half of larger section of the table, there's a smaller section of the table, and then the leg, or I call it the staple. How it would work is if we're hosting, having dinner with some extra people, we can install this section, but when maybe it's just the 3 of us on board, we can easily remove this piece. And now leaving this section here, it's almost like a bar. It's offset to one side, so it's really easy to still walk down. All 3 of us could sit here and have dinner, or just like, keep it here for when we're hanging out. It's a very out of the way table. Even this part will be very removable. It'll fit into sockets that are in the sole. The table will break off from the staple. This is all kind of just in my mind at this point, but seeing that it can fit is kind of a proof of concept a little bit. And I actually really like it, but I'm very curious to hear what you think about it. What I'd love for it to feature are a stainless staple, like a 1.5 inch stainless staple that fits into sockets into the sole. This leaf and this leaf easily snap onto the staple so that there's not a lot of futzing to put it all together. Like I said, it's offset a little bit. Plus there's a little footrest, so when we're sitting here, it's really easy it's a nice spot to put your feet up to. So far, I really, really like this. I'm very curious to hear what you think about this idea or any other ideas you have about how it could fit together, fold up, whatever. One other thing I'd like to note about this is the staple can be shortened, and we could actually be able to put it into the cockpit too. So if we wanted to eat outside, That is another idea I've had where, you know, the sockets in the sole would be the same as the sockets in the cockpit. And we could just shorten this thing by maybe, not by telescoping, but maybe just breaking off the tubes from the staple, from the legs, so it's a little bit shorter, because those benches are shorter. There's tons of possibilities with this. And like I said, yeah, I'd be very curious to hear your ideas. Other tables like this you've seen on other boats, or if I shouldn't do it at all. So let me have it.